Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Flagrant Talk Sports Podcast. It's me, Isaiah, here solo dolo. Moses is currently in Boston, seeing some family, so you're just rocking with me in this video. Today, I'm going to give my overall thoughts on this tournament. There's been a lot of discourse about the transfer portal, about obviously all of the Final Four being consistent of one seeds. I'll give you my predictions and everything like that in the video. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you are a returning guest of these March Madness videos or our other content, thank you and welcome back. Off rip, let me know what you guys think of this tournament. It definitely feels like one of the more controversial picks or attorneys, excuse me, that we've seen in recent years, strictly because of how chalky it is. We only had one Sweet 16 team that was a double digit seed, and it was 10 seeded Arkansas, who is an SEC program led by John Calipari. It's not really a Cinderella story there. So I'll start with that, and then the next segment, I'll get into my final four picks, tourney picks overall, what we've talked about since the Sweet 16. Um, Immediately, I want to remind people a lot of the discourse has been it's all one seeds. This is so boring. Where's the Cinderella teams? There's no 15 seed upset. There's no 13 seed going to the Sweet 16. Like none of that is happening. It's all mid-major programs. I believe only four conferences were even represented in the Sweet 16, which is pretty absurd. Obviously, seven of them being from the SEC. And I understand the criticisms. I will counter it with a couple points here. One being when the committee makes the tournament, when they are seeding all of these teams, when they are ranking 1 through 68 and they're seeding the bracket in that way, divvying it up by region, all of those things and thoughts that they put into it. This is the intent. It doesn't happen because it is madness. It's March Madness. So you're not going to get the one seeds in here year in, year in, year out, battling in this final four, but it's designed to be this way. It's designed for the one seeds to make the Elite Eight to meet up with the two seeds who knocked off the three and four seeds prior. And as we know, and track backwards, right? And it's meant for these 4-1 seeds to get to the final four and one of them to be crowned a champion. Ideally, in this year, it would be Auburn because they were the number one overall seed. So I think that is the one thing people are forgetting. The bracket isn't made for an oopsie by a one seed to a 16 seed. When it happens, when UMBC pulls an upset like that off, you go, whoa, that's crazy. That is madness. It is meant to feel that way, but it isn't designed to be that way, right? That isn't the way the committee wants for this to play out. They want to make it so, hey, you played a great regular season. Maybe you won your conference tourney. You did all of these things. You deserve a high seed, and we reward you with an easier path, hypothetically. That's the one thing. The second thing is, while I do am upset that we don't have like a Colorado State out of the Mountain West who made it to the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, or something like that. While I'm upset, maybe we don't have, you know, a 9 seed or something like that. Something more shocking, a 1 seed going down in the round of 32. I will counter it again with we are getting the best teams playing the best teams, and we've gotten some great games. So many people are worked up over the fact that it's one seeds playing two seeds or one seeds playing three seeds, and ugh, that's so boring. To me, as someone who watches college basketball all year, this is what you want. I want to see Duke take on Houston. I want to see, hey, Auburn was the number one overall team all year, man. But their rival in the SEC, Florida, got real hot and they won that conference. And now we get to see those matchups, right? We get to see these two seeds, this Michigan State, make it to the Elite Eight. We get to see these things happen and get some amazing games out of that. So I understand from an upset perspective, and I have to remind myself that most of the people that fill out brackets are not people that tune into these videos. They're not like you. They're not like me. A lot of them are more, I know Duke, I know Kentucky, I know Cooper Flag, whatever. I'll fill out my bracket. But as it plays out, and you're like, yeah, I had this upset of this 14 seed going to the Sweet 16, and that doesn't happen, and the tournament progresses and progresses. I think a lot of normie, either basketball fans, sports fan, college basketball fans, whatever you want to say, um, are disappointed by that. And I have to remind myself that people just aren't like me and you who watch basketball content all the time. Like that isn't the way it is for everyone. So I think those are the points. I have really enjoyed this tournament. We've gotten some amazing matchups. We've gotten some amazing games. Um, a couple of my favorites. I love the Texas Tech Arkansas one, and it is ironic that Texas Tech then did the same thing. That they came back against Arkansas to win, and in their next game gave up a lead to Florida. It's the way that the give and go of this tournament. I really liked the Maryland uh, Colorado State game, obviously, with Derek Queen, a player who I've absolutely loved watching, and I can't wait to see at the next level perform. So I will say this, and to put a T up on this and then transition over to making my picks, um, this is something Mo and I talked about a lot. If you've been tuning into our bracketology videos, if you've seen our predictions and things like that, I had 3 1 seeds in the final four. Moses had 3 1 seeds. Not because we're super safe all the time, but it felt like the gap this year with the 1 and 2 seeds was bigger. It just felt that way. Like Auburn came in losing 3 of 4, right? Cooper Flag is banged up coming into this tournament. We have some things like that happening. But if you would have told me, when I'm filling out my bracket, hey, by the way, Auburn ends up in the final four, I'd go, yeah, that makes sense. They were the best team all year. They just happened to slip up. And it happened down the stretch of the season, which isn't what I want to see when I'm filling out my bracket. It doesn't give me that confidence, but I would believe you if you told me, hey, the Cooper Flag injury, don't worry about it. He looks normal. He looks great. You really won't notice anything going on. I'd say, okay, that makes sense. It's an ankle, sprain or whatever they medically called it. So I think those are kind of the points. One, this was predicted, you know. Two, this is how the bracket is designed to play out. It just never happens that way, which is what makes this so fun. And lastly, a lot of people have brought up the problem with NIL, and that it is stripping. Anytime a mid-major player booms and they want to stay in school, they transfer to an SEC school. They transfer to a Duke. They transfer to a Kansas. Whatever it is, a power conference school, and then leave that mid-major behind. It is not the player's fault or the player's responsibility to take care of that. Most of these players will never get to the NBA. Most 99% of these guys will never step foot on an NBA court, let alone make it a career where they're in the NBA 10 plus years. It's not going to happen. So that responsibility is not on the players. If it were me, if they were looking for my advice, I'd say get every dollar you can from these universities. Get as much clout, make as much money, do all that you can, because this is probably the most money you're going to touch from basketball in your life. You could play overseas, you could do all that stuff, obviously, right? Just because you don't make the NBA doesn't mean it's over for you. They have a development league, they have leagues all over the world that you could play in, right? So your basketball dream isn't over just because you don't make the NBA. But I am not mad at, hey, there's I'm blanking on his name, but he's transferred back and forth from South Carolina, and I'm messing up on the other school, I think 3 times in total. We're seeing guys who have played 5 years and they've played at 4 schools. Caleb Battle, a Zag, had the same thing, right? I believe he played at 5. So I understand people being annoyed by that, but don't take it out on the students. Don't take it out on the players. These are kids who are making some of the most money they're ever going to make in their lives. This is a job to them. They are employees. So they have to look out for themselves, their family, everything like that. And I won't blame them. If you want to have this discussion about the NCAA, we can have it. I don't love it either. I think as someone who grew up where, you know, it was this special thing. This player doesn't have a great freshman year, but they stick it out. And then sophomore year, they go from 3 points as a freshman to 7 points, and they're in the rotation. And then their junior year, here they are putting up 13, and they're a starter or they're the sixth man. And then their senior year, they are the leader. They are one of the two best players on a tournament team. I love seeing that. That's amazing. Or maybe they transfer one time because, hey, there's a logjam of talent here. I got to go. I understand that. It disappoints me too, but I will just advise people to remember, don't be upset with the players because they are doing what they have to do to make their money and progress their career and put their talents in basketball in front of as many eyes as possible. Yes, I could play at UNC Wilmington 4 years and that would be amazing and I'd be a school legend and depending on how good I am, I could get a statue. But if I wanna go pro and I have an amazing tourney as a sophomore, Kentucky, here I come. Duke, here I come. Houston, here I come. Like, that's the reality, right? And we can have the argument, but I will just remind people it's not the player's fault, for one, and for two, we have not seen enough tournaments in this NIL era for me to deem that as the reason we're seeing more chalk. A couple 2 years ago, we saw UConn, FAU, Miami, and San Diego State in the Final Four. 2 years ago. This was not some like 10-year ago thing. This is very recent. This was the first UConn title in their back to back. So we can have these discussions, but I will remind people of those points. And now let's go ahead and get into the video. Please let me know your thoughts. I think it's a really interesting discussion. And obviously, if you're tuning into basketball content, you care about it. You probably have thoughts. So please put them in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think. But let's move over to the reason you're here, the Final Four. Now, I predicted three of these four. I did not have Auburn. Originally in my bracket, I had Auburn losing in the Sweet 16 to Michigan. That obviously was not the case. Auburn looked really good, took care of business there. I was concerned about them losing 3 of 4, and that is on me. That it doesn't shock me. Janiah Broome has absolutely turned it on. He has looked amazing down the stretch specifically, where I've been very impressed with him and this Auburn team as a whole. They'll take on their SEC rival, the Florida Gators, who won the SEC tournament to really earn this 1 seed here. The Gators were my pick to win a title, and I still feel pretty good about that. Walter Clayton. Walter Clayton. You know, we talked about him. Mo and I talked about him a lot. If you've been tuned into college basketball, you know that brother is a dog. And some of the shots he was making in that comeback against Texas Tech, I was running around the house. I'm not a Florida fan. I'm a Gonzaga fan. And I was like, oh my god, this is Curry-esque. And I don't use that for like with hyperbole. He was ridiculous. He's getting rebounds, dribbling the ball back, chucking up a three from deep. And I knew you could have paused it and said, do you think this goes in? I would say yes every time. That brother is amazing. The Skaters team is deep. I love, the physicality they can bring down low with their bigs. Walter Clayton as the engine of this team, not just the offense, but the team as a whole. And then on the flip side, Duke, man, all of these freshmen have looked amazing, and they have not looked like freshmen. I have said this where I think, I don't use generational because I think Wembenyama is. I think it remains to be seen if Cooper Flag will be a generational prospect. But what I can say is he is a damn good one and one of the most complete freshmen I've seen in my years of watching basketball. I'm 24 years old and I have seen lots of top talent come in and out. Cooper Flag is maybe in the top 10, will go down as a top 10 number one overall pick since like 2000. I think we can have that discussion. He belongs with the ADs, with the Wembies. Just because I don't think he's generational doesn't mean he's not that. Zion, when he was coming out at Duke, like, I think he's in that tier. The LeBron, the people like that, Kyrie. So Cooper has looked amazing. Knipple has looked great. They have looked so good with the youth on this team and them not coming off that way. We've seen it in years, and it scares me where it's like, yeah, this is a loaded team, but man, a lot of those guys are freshmen. And that doesn't mean they're going to play poorly, but this is the brightest lights they've ever seen in their lives. So can they live up to it? Duke has lived up to it. And then Houston, who eliminated my Zags, uh, we said this all year. You could make an argument that this is Calvin Sampson's best team he's had at Houston, and he's had some damn good ones. Every year in, year out. We know what they can do defensively because you can't play under Sampson if you don't play defense. Period. That is a requirement to attend the university. But it's the offense that has been incredible. LJ Cryer. I saw it against my Zags. I know he's amazing. It still caught me off guard. That whole first half against Gonzaga, he said, I'm the best player on this floor. Nothing you can throw at me will stop me. Nothing. I'm going to get my 30 piece. I could get 20 whenever I want. It really felt like that. He had that swagger. It's the same as Walter Clayton at Florida, where you just saw it. This SEC battle is so interesting. I am going with the Florida Gators to advance, and it's difficult. Obviously, they're 2.5 point favorites, which kind of surprises me. I thought Auburn would be the favorite, but I think that Auburn's completeness, we get to see Broome and Clayton in the Final Four go back and forth for who the best player is on the court, and that is going to be special. Two players, first team in the country, undeniably at that. So we get to see them duel. It won't surprise me one singular bit if Auburn walks out with a win, but I had Florida winning a title going into the tournament, and I'm going to have them advance to the title game. Now, Duke, Houston. This is what's more difficult, and I kind of pigeoned myself into a hole. Going into this, my title game was Florida, Houston. Still entirely possible, and neither team has given me a reason for that not to be the case. Last video we did when talking about this, I switched up. I said, man, with the way Duke is playing, and this was in the Sweet 16, with what I've seen from Flag, give me the Blue Devils to go into the title game and lose to Florida. So it's this 50-50 for me. Going into the tournament, it was Houston. I still am absolutely. They've given me no reason to hop off this train, but the way Duke has played has increased that thought for me, and I'm gonna do it. I'm going with the Duke Blue Devils to go to the title game. Cooper Flag and company will play against the Florida Gators. And in the last video, I said as much as I've been impressed by Duke, I'm still going to stick with Florida here. And that sentiment to me is still the same. It would be amazing, I will say, if we get Duke and Auburn throwing hands there in the title game. We've seen that game earlier in the year, and Duke beat them back when Auburn. It was Auburn's only loss for a big part of the season. Like it was what kind of cemented Duke in the season and was like, okay, these guys are a real problem. And I'm sticking with the Blue Devils here to advance. I've loved what I've seen. They're so complete. They've looked dominant every game. And I think that dominance to me is the reason why I have this confidence. Florida, Duke, give me the Gators. I'm sticking with the Florida Gators. They were my pick day one. They told me I before the conference tourneys, I had Florida where it felt like they were the team that was going to cut down the nets. It was this feeling in my gut. It's the analytics. It's what I've seen on the court. All of those things compiled. I think Walter Clayton is going to get it done. And I have the Gators cutting down the nets. But any of these four teams could win it, and there would be zero surprise. You could say that every year, but especially with this being all one seeds for the first time since we had Derrick Rose, Kevin Love, Mario Chalmers at Kansas. We had all of these Russell Westbrook players in that Final Four. This is you could look at it the same. Janiah Broome, Cooper Flagg, LJ Cryer, Walter Clayton, all of these players hooping it out, trying to crown themselves as the champion. We are in for some amazing final three games of this season. All four of these teams are deserving, and it's a perfect way to put a bow on what's been a really good season. So that's the video. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on the tournament as a whole. Let me know your pick, your championship game, who you have winning it. Song of the Pod, Small Worlds by Mac Miller, one of my absolute favorites, Gone Too Soon. I love you all. Only one video this week. Moses is traveling. We've put out a ton of content recently, so this is it. And then we'll get back to 2 videos a week going forward. Thank you all for tuning in. Love you all, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out, everybody.